Now, the other church that Dahlia speaks of is hidden inside of the Green Lion Antique Shop. The shop's namesake and sign out front is highly symbolic in terms of alchemy. The green lion devouring the sun marks the halfway point of completion for the alchemist. In Silent Hill, it is also the halfway point of the game. The green lion represents a specific form of vitriol known as iron sulfate, whereas the sun represents gold. Vitriol dissolves all impure metals, leaving only the gold behind. The alchemist's own vitriol or bitterness must be purified by sacrificing the self for the great work. Remember that Dahlia told James strength must overcome petty desire. The lion is the strength Dahlia speaks of. Green is the color of vitriol, representing the corrosive impurities of petty desire. In this alchemical operation, the lion destroys its self in terms of petty desire, leaving only the gold or higher self in its purest form behind. Soon after Harry discovers the hidden passage by moving a piece of furniture, Sybil Bennet appears after following Harry into the antique shop. She tells Harry that she couldn't get back to Brahms for backup. She says that all of the roads are blocked, as well as all vehicles don't seem to work, and neither do any of the phones or radios in town. She also tells Harry that she saw a girl walking down the street, so she followed her. But the girl vanished into the fog. This very same thing happened to Harry much earlier in the game. So it seems that Alessa has led Sybil to Harry at this point in the game. Sybil describes the girl as walking on thin air, which seems to confirm the emanation she witnessed was Alessa in the form of Cheryl. Of course, Sybil doesn't appear to have experienced anything close to the level of what Harry has been through so far. And so, as far as Sybil is concerned, there should be a practical explanation for all of Dahlia Gillespie's gibberish and everything that is happening in the town. Unlike Harry, who is beginning to open himself to the possibility of supernatural forces based on what he has experienced so far. Sybil speculates that Dahlia must be on drugs as the primary reason for her behavior. Sybil goes on to explain what she knows about the town's pervasive drug scene. It seems she is at least partially correct, given what we have been shown about Dahlia earlier in the game. However, this midpoint of the game is significant on many levels. One of them is to be found in the dialogue between Harry and Sybil, as we are about to see. Harry shows Sybil the hidden passage he has discovered. Sybil offers to enter the passage to investigate. After all, she is a police officer. Harry replies with a resounding no, the type of no which cannot be refuted or dismissed. Harry is beginning to form an unconscious recognition that he is a key figure in this somehow, although he cannot explain why. Despite all of this, Harry is willing to sacrifice himself or eat the sun, as it were, in order to find his daughter. This is something Harry must do alone, and something that Sybil is most certainly not prepared for. After all, Harry has been through quite a lot already, having engaged in a succession of initiation and purification rituals. Harry enters the room, which is set up as a site for a certain set of rituals. This, of course, is the other church that Dahlia was talking about. Notice the altar is presented in a square shape with 4 candles placed around it. Remember that the number 4, representing the physical as well as mortality and death, is still very much at play at this part of the game. It should also be mentioned that fire and presumably sulfur in the chalice is used in ceremonies of rebirth. After Harry inspects the altar and begins to leave the room, a fire springs forth from the chalice. Combined with the painting on the wall behind it, the flames visually resemble the sacrificed immolation of Alessa. More importantly, this hidden church, as it is referred to, is tucked away behind the Green Lion Antique Shop, is a ceremonial place where strength must overcome petty desire. This, of course, is another purification ritual. However, unlike at Midwich, where the alchemist must be pure within himself, this ceremony is about letting go of the petty desire of the world as well, as it interacts with Harry. Hence, the green lion eating the sun. Remember, 3 is the number of the microcosm, or the inner dimensions of spirit, and 4 is the number of the macrocosm, or outer dimensions of the wider world. After this ceremony, Harry will enter the next stage of the game, which is ruled by the number 7. Soon after the ceremony is completed, Harry is inducted into the other world yet again. However, unlike his previous interaction with Lisa, this time certain truths are shared with Harry which he may not have been ready to receive previously. Lisa tells Harry about Dahlia and the dark history of the town. Notice that she glosses over Harry's observation about her not looking so good. Of course, Lisa is just like the rest of the monsters Harry has encountered. Harry is noticeably transformed at this point in the game, by the way, as he begins to observe more closely and is asking more questions which attempt to better understand what is really going on in Silent Hill. In other words, he is no longer taking things at face value like he was before. He's going meta, as it were. Harry asks Lisa what Dahlia could have meant about the town being devoured by darkness. She begins to open up about the hidden and nefarious goings-on between the townfolk to Harry. In classic Silent Hill fashion, the occult and black magic are made reference to directly, which was also the case in Silent Hill 3 as well. As Lisa offers more details about the town's dark history, Harry confirms his understanding that a cult is running things behind the scenes. Lisa tells Harry that it seems that the locals involved in this cult were responsible for several deaths of newcomers to Silent Hill. Then suddenly, Harry's conversation with Lisa in the other world abruptly ends, and he wakes up on the floor in what appears to be some other part of the other world. Harry, in his inner dialogue, asks himself, what just happened? Could this all have been a dream? having perhaps been rendered comatose from the car accident at the beginning of the story. The lines between the real world and the other world are becoming more blurred, as both seem to be converging with the all-consuming darkness. To the initiate into the mysteries of the occult, ambiguity, confusion, most certainly seem to be abounding. Notice that Harry is laying face down on the seal of Metatron where he wakes up in this room. This seems to indicate that he is now under the influence of Alessa and the other world. Also notice the steel grate flooring and the bodies hanging on the walls. Anytime we see steel grate flooring and the seal of Metatron drawn out in blood, we can be assured that this is a place of sacrifice.